Hi, Day. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I am great. Thank you, Erin. I'm super jazzed to be here. And hello, everybody. I hope you're having a great day too.
I am. So I'm really excited about this topic. So first, can you tell us a little bit about the work that Forward Doc does?
Excellent. I would love to. So let me just give a real quick intro so folks have an idea
Please.
who I am, right? So
Mhm.
my name is Al-Mohamed. And for a visual description, I'm an Arab American woman with brown skin, dark hair. I have a slightly messy house and office, but I've turned the camera so I'm showing the best side. So there is that. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I am actually one of the founding members of Forward Doc, which is FWD-DOC. And what it is an organization of filmmakers with disabilities. And one of the things we found out is that um, Hollywood's all about the pretty people, right? Not just in front of, but also behind the camera. But if there's 1 in 4 people in the United States have some sort of disability, visible, invisible, then shouldn't there be more of us working in that industry, both in front of, behind the camera, just everywhere? And so the idea was to have an entity that would kind of help us meet each other, support each other, and actually kind of push the industry more broadly into saying, "Hey, you guys, instead of this kind of small club, there are other really talented folks out here that you need to keep an eye on and welcome." And one of the things, actually, I think from the beginning, Forward Doc has been very open about was we're the new kid on the block, and so we have been following groups that came before us, like Brown Girls Doc Mafia, and ADOC for Asian American filmmakers, and what they have done for their members and for the industry, and basically taking those lessons.
And so, with the work that you all do, can you talk about some of the challenges and barriers that people with disabilities face in the film industry?
Oof. It's a it's a it's tough to cover everything,
Yeah.
but I think one of the things you'll hear a lot is two. There are people working, but they're choosing not to identify. Why? Because it's seen as a question of capacity, right? If you have a disability, can that person really handle the stress? I don't know. This is a tough industry, and so you're automatically discounted. So one is that the barriers at question of capacity. The other is kind of an accessibility frame. In many ways, it's a very grind sort of an industry, and it's built that way almost purposefully. Like you're supposed to start as a gopher, as a production assistant, doing all the grunt work and work your way and keep until one day somebody deigns to let you into the writer's room
Right.
and kind of go from that. And I'm like, you know what? That's not good for anybody, right? I mean, there are unions currently fighting for some, to address like hours and safety, and it's just kind of this thing where it's an industry that's built on taking advantage of people at the lowest tiers. And maybe we need to start looking at how do we build an industry that is better for everybody. And so accessibility should be a part of that discussion as well, right? There are simple things you can do, and everyone starts freaking out like we can't make every set accessible. I'm like, we can't do X, Y, and Z. And like, let me pause with some actual statistics. And granted, this is for a more broader workplace. So, according to the Department of Labor's Job Accommodation Network, so this is a technical assistance center that they created that provides information and advice to employers and employees about accommodations across the country. Right, so
Mhm.
that is the only thing they do. Anybody can call anonymously. You get advice, you get information, so they know a huge variety of them. So, based on all of that information and things they've done, um, the vast majority of accommodations cost nothing. Like more than half of them cost zero, right? It can be as simple as going, yeah, Tom's a diabetic, so we need to make sure that he gets his break to be able to either have a little snack or to check his blood sugar.
Right.
Doesn't cost anything. And of the others that do cost, um, most of those are like a one-time $500 fee. That's it.
So,
Um,
so with that point right there, what do you think is if it's free or low cost? Why is the industry so scared to make things inclusive?
well, we still have that question of that question of capacity, right? It doesn't mean it's accurate. It's still there. And two is it's still very much a club of who you know, right?
Mm, yeah.
And one of the biggest things that grants that kind of access right? Is at the end of the day is money.
Mhm.
Um, and so we find ourselves in the same kind of situations as filmmakers with lower incomes, filmmakers who have trouble traveling. It's just very hard to get into those rooms, those conversations, right? It isn't just, oh, look, I can go to a theater, right? Because of the ADA, we have theaters that are accessible. But I'm at a theater, I can watch a movie. But one of the things our members have discovered is, right, you're there, but the filmmakers networking event is at the bar across the street, and there's like 2 steps to get in.
Ah,
And so suddenly you can't be in the room where the conversations are being made, where someone's like, oh yeah, I met you at this, I'm working on this project. And it's like, oh, I'm really interested. And then suddenly you're signed on as a producer working on that project. But if you couldn't even get in that room, it's not going to happen. If you can't travel to the festival, it's not going to happen. And so we have things like that that happen a lot, um, based on, can you get in? Can you have access? And the other's like, after all, be like, well, I know this guy, I'm going to work with him. Or my super pet peeve is, related to this, is also filmmaking. One is a team sport, so you have to build up a network to help you make it. Um, but two, it's expensive, right? If you want to write a novel, you sit down and you write that novel, and then you send it out and you try to find an agent who will who'll pitch it to a publisher. You
mhm.
can do that by yourself. You can make a film by yourself, but the odds are against you from making
I would
something
say
big
yes.
enough to grow from, and that takes money. And then, well, there are grants and there are scholarships and fellowships. I'm like, yes, but you ever know somebody who gets one fellowship, gets another, gets another, gets another, and a lot of these places will offer, well, yeah, we're offering funding to help you make your film, but we're offering it to people. They'll call them early or emerging filmmakers, but the person has to have made one feature film, or it's a
Mhm.
membership organization, but you have to have made a film or two. And I'm like, so who's going to put the first money in? Who's going to trust the person who's just getting started, um, if they haven't had a chance to make anything, because they haven't had the money to make anything? So you'll see a lot of folks, and they're making it. You'll find filmmakers with disabilities, filmmakers of color, queer filmmakers, and you're going to hear me say all three of those groups because I identify as a member of all of those, who are having a harder time because we'll make the short films. We can find money, friends, and ways to bootstrap it. But making a feature film is a much more expensive proposition. And folks are like out there like squeezing rocks
Yeah.
to try and find that money. And sometimes you'll make it, but then there's, I've made this film. What do I do with it? Where can I go? And so a lot of it is that you need to have, it's that getting into that closed room where people see you and they hear you, which is also why you'll hear two or three folks whose names come up over and over and over and over, but they never go broader to go, well, who else is there?
Right. And so, in the work that you do as a filmmaker and an author, and you're working in policy and stuff, how do you yourself create this accessible environment for all people?
So there are a couple of things. So one I can tell you is very much started with Forward Doc, is and we worked with Cassie Diamond and I'm gonna forget the names of the other folks who were part of it, but we worked together to build what's called an accessibility scorecard, and it's for film festivals. And the idea was, if you were somebody attending one, you can tick off on a box what they did well, what they did not so well, because right now nobody has any idea. Actually, there is no single repository to know how folks are doing. And the idea isn't to slam these folks at the festivals, it's to get them to go, hey, here are some things maybe you should think about doing, because these people are coming to your festivals and they're noticing a gap, or they're coming to your festivals and they're noticing when you got it right. And so one was to build that, to bring that to visibility. And I know we're working this fall actually to put together a report from what we heard from a variety of festivals. The other, and this is one a little more personal that I tend to yell for everybody, which is my share the candy rule. Right? If you are in a room, your job is to bring as many people with you as possible. And I'm super proud to see a lot of that kind of ethos amongst some of the Forward Doc folks. It's like, hey, we're working on this film. We're looking for a co-director. Is there somebody who's interested in helping join this project? Or I'll be like, hey, I can't do this. It's not my wheelhouse, but let me send you these like three other filmmakers I know who are fantastically talented, and making sure I pass their names along.
And thanks so much for watching Advocate today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Advocate channel, I'm Aaron Dean.